Shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles of the millstone, and in our respective brothers that are pushing and spreading the gospel of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, to the four corners of the world. Now, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, I just want to do a quick lesson on this article, which is entitled "The Trump Administration Announces Freeze in $2.2 billion for Harvard after university rejects request for policy changes." I'll put it in reader mode. And so, before we get into it, this is the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 17. "And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and of all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you." All right. And so this is because of the power that the Heavenly Father has endowed us with. When we do the works, when we prophesy against Esau's kingdom, his kingdom physically falls, right? That's why Paul said that the weapons of our warfare, they're not carnal, but are mighty, right? Through the Spirit, casting down every stronghold. And Esau's stronghold is being cast down because of the words of the prophets, right? And so, you read the book of Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, it says, Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth he has but a short time. Woe unto you, inhabitants of the earth, because he knows he has but a short time. See, these devils can tell, right? They're not stupid. They can tell that they don't have as much power as they had, a few decades back, right? They are losing a lot of power, and they are very angry about it. They are very sour about it. They feel very sour about it, okay? And so they're trying to, not only clinch onto the little bit of power that they have, but they're also trying to, I guess, gather again that power that they had over the nations. They want to bring back the same kind of power they had over people's minds, the same kind of power they had over people's lands, the same kind of power they had, over people's soul, the same kind of power they had over people's money. Well, they have that power, they have it down, but they're not as deceptive as they wish to be. Now the scripture even talks about it in the book of Obadiah, the first chapter. How are the things of Esau searched out? The Lord has made them bare, and the Lord has exposed them to the point where people have quickened themselves to be able to stand against him if push comes to shove. That's why when the tariffs came about, people retaliated. When they come up and they try to put down another country by exalting themselves in righteousness, the other nations retaliate with their ideology. And so, everywhere this devil goes, he is not accepted how he wants to be accepted. He wishes to go everywhere in the world and shoot off his mouth, and because he's an Edomite, people should listen to him. That's why you have him sending money around the world and campaigning for the rainbow community to kick off, but people ain't even listening to that. He goes off and he try to give deals in exchange for having control over a country's resources, and nobody's trying to hear all of that. Okay, so he is losing power, and this is an example of that. So him being mad, him being wrathful, this is a little bit of it's a this is a watered down version of his wrath. Let me put it that way, right? So it says Trump administration announces freeze in 2.2 billion for Harvard after university rejects request for policy changes. And when we read it, you're gonna find it's not even a request for policy changes. It was a demand. All right. So it says the Trump administration announced Monday that it will freeze 2.2 billion in multi-year grants and 60 million in multi-year uh, contract value at Harvard University after the school said it will not follow policy demands from the administration. Earlier Monday, Harvard University said it would reject the Trump administration's demand for policy changes at the school. In response to the funding freeze, the university referred CNN to its earlier statement that it will not comply with the administration's demand, specifically focusing on the following: for the government to retreat from these partnerships now risk not only the health and well-being of millions of individuals, but also the economic security and vitality of our nation. Okay? The university received a letter from a federal task force last week outlining additional policy demands that will maintain Harvard's financial relationship with the federal government. We have informed the administration through our legal counsel that we will not accept their proposed agreement, Harvard President Alan M. Garber said in a statement. The university will not surrender its independence or its constitutional rights. The Trump administration has threatened numerous colleges across the United States with funding cuts if changes in school policy weren't made. The Harvard's move appeared to mark the first time an elite university has rebuked the White House over those demands. Hey, the book of Second Ezra, man. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their hand. We're seeing that vibe, man, in front of our very eyes. Among the mandates in the administration's letter are the elimination of Harvard's diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, banning masks at campus protests because they want to see who's protesting against the government and swoop in and arrest them. Look at that. Banning masks at campus protests, merit-based hiring and admissions reforms, and reducing the power held by faculty and administrators more committed to activism than scholarships. The proposed changes are the latest effort to the federal task force to combat anti-Semitism on college campus after a spat on high-profile incident around the country in response to the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza. President Trump is working to make higher education great gain by ending unchecked anti-Semitism and ensuring federal taxpayer dollars do not fund Harvard's support for dangerous racial discrimination or racially motivated violence. A White House spokesman said in a statement, Harvard or any institution that wishes to violate Title VI is, by law, not eligible for federal funding. Garber said the majority of demands represent direct government regulation of intellectual condition at Harvard. No government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue, Garber said, right? So, knowing he has about a short time, he ain't even, Trump ain't even, he don't even give a shit about the Constitution. He's just going ahead and demanding whatever he wants because he's in power. And you do have a bunch of, people out there, really fucking idiots right now, that are just kissing his ass and thinking they're fixing the country. They're just digging the hole deeper. Harvard's endowment was $53 billion in 2024, according to a financial report from the university. The Harvard faculty chapter of the American Association of University Professors, along with the national organization, filed a lawsuit against Trump administration on Friday in conjunction with a request from the professors of an immediate temporary restraining order to block the government from cutting off Harvard's federal funding, CNN previously reported. And what did Yahushua say about this kingdom, right? If Satan cast out Satan, oh. So, the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 26 says, "And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself, and how shall then his kingdom stand?" How can this place stand? You know, if all this is going on, if the government is fighting against the people are fighting against the government, and the government is fighting against other foreign governments, and those foreign governments are fighting against it, it's gonna fall, man. This place, you know how we used to say that it's circling the drain? This thing is in the pipes, man. It's gone. It's in the sewers. Babylon is falling. The lawsuit says the cancellation of federal funding is imminent, citing how the Trump administration already slashed the funding of other higher education institutions, such as Columbia University, which was the first college targeted with $400 million in federal funding cuts. What the President of the United States, you cut one of the best schools in your country, and how the hell, you're hurting the best schools in the country, then what? Where do all your wise men come from? You're sitting over here talking about hiring people based on skill and competency. Well, one of the best schools in your country, and you're fighting against it. So if it falls and it crumbles down, where are you going to get your wise men from? Where are you going to get your competent citizens from? What the President of the United States is demanding of universities is nothing short of authoritarian, right? Harvard Law School Professor Nicholas Bowie said Monday on CNN's News Central. He is violating the First Amendment right of universities and faculty by demanding that if universities wants to keep this money, they have to suppress our speech and change what we teach and how we study. The demand in the administration's earlier letter also include full cooperating with the Department of Homeland Security, which enforces immigration policy, and federal regulators to ensure full compliance, according to a copy of the letter obtained by the Harvard Crimson, a student-run newspaper. So, the same thing that they did with the terrorists. They the Trump administration just wanna say whatever the hell comes into mind and say some outlandish shit, make some crazy ass demands, and expect people not to fight back. Expect people to just sit there and let them do what they want. Again, this is the superiority complex that we're talking about. He's so rich, he's up there, with his colleagues, and he's thinking that he can just stomp on whoever he wants to stomp on. Researchers and study participants across the country are grappling with the abrupt cancellation of hundreds of research grants directed by the Trump administration. We hear from one researcher who believes in anti-DEI policies led to the defunding of her clinical trials. Guest Katie Edward, University of Michigan, professor of social works, have a tip or question about the new Trump administration. The letter was received days after the Department of Education, Health, and Human Services and the U.S. General Services Administration announced they are reviewing $8.7 billion in grants and more than $255 million worth of contracts between Harvard, its affiliate, and the federal government, according to a news release. So, Hey, this is heavy stuff. Okay, so this is gonna be a short one, so I'm gonna end it right there. Shalom, Yahweh, Hashem, Shah, Brakatham. In closing, we want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.